After talking about Anderson's book, Anderson's imagined communities and all, he raises one central objection. Partha Chatterjee raises one central objection to Anderson's argument. What was his argument? That all these nations exist because of a belief in the imagined community. We imagine that we are together. If nationalisms in the rest of the world have to choose their imagined community from certain modular forms, modular, I told you, module means module is created out or comes into existence out of different elements. Okay, different kind of objects are taken into consideration. So different forms are there. So if we think of nationalism in the rest of the world, their imagined community from certain modular forms already made available to them by Europe, the Americas. Then he says, suppose if a nation is an imagined community, and if we accept this particular European logic or America's logic, then what is left to imagine? This is very crucial question. What do they have left to imagine? Means apart from the Europe and Americas, Asian, African people do not have anything to imagine. If the model is provided by Europe and Americas, so history has decreed that we in the post-colonial world shall only be perpetual consumers of modernity. This is very important statement. History has decreed. Decreed means ordered. It is an order from the authority, order from the God itself. That we means here the people from Africa, Asia, in the post-colonial world. Now, for example, we are in the post-colonial world. After we got freedom from all these colonial powers, shall only be perpetual consumers. Perpetual means endless, eternal, shashwat. Consumers means who consumes, grahak of modernity. Modernity is a kind of commodity provided by European countries and American countries. We think that all these European nations are modern nations. America is a modern country, nation. Then once they provide the idea of modernity, just like the market, these are the producing countries, technologically and other in other fields as well. They only produce and we consume. And in terms of the idea of modernity as well, we are simply consumers of modernity. Means we simply imitate European and American people. Europe and the Americas, the only true subjects of history, he uses it ironically. They are the only true subjects of history. Otherwise, people don't have any history at all. We do not have any modernity at all. These two continents, Europe and the Americas. Americas includes North America, Canada, means USA. North America consists of USA, Canada, Mexico, etc. And then we talk about Brazil, okay, and these other countries such as Peru, Chile. All these are the Latin American countries which were ruled by uh, France, Spain, Portugal, etc. So these only can have the true subjects. They are the true subject history. They only have history, and these continents have thought out on our behalf not only the script of colonial enlightenment and exploitation, but also that of our anti-colonial resistance and post-colonial misery. So this is a remarkable statement. Means as if it is script. We are performing a drama. on behalf of us. It reminds us again Vinay Lal as well. Means we talk about what we call culture and all from the European perspective. Same is the case of modernity. It's as if the history, our script was written, a script of enlightenment. Enlightenment means the period of learning. We learned, and exploitation is a kind of suffering, trouble caused to us, to Indian subject, to Asian subjects, Asian people, African people. So this has been written by these two continents. Not only that, but also that of our anti-colonial resistance, even our resistance to these powers was determined by this. This is a sarcastic statement. You need to understand. And even our imaginations must remain forever colonialized. Colonized means what? These means a thinking, a history, our ideas, everything is controlled by, conditioned by the Europeans and American nations. If we accept Anderson's argument, he says, then we have to accept the fact that we were simply puppets in the hands of these two continents. Everything was done by them. We simply just participated. Means they were the directors, they were the script writers, and we were simply the actors performing on the on the stage. Even our imagination, okay, is colonized. Colonized, colonization means uh, establishing, controlling your ideas from by these colonial powers. Therefore, he says, I object to this argument not for any sentimental reason. I object to Anderson's argument because Anderson thinks that every country has similar kind of modular form of nationalism. And once we accept that, we accept the fact that we didn't know anything at all. We do not have history. We do not have the period of learning. We do not have suffering at all. We do not have imagination. We never opposed these colonial powers. Everything was decided by Britishers or French people or German people, whoever the rulers were. And I object to this argument put forth by Anderson, not because means I love India or I love my nation. It is not simply a matter of sentiment. I object because I cannot reconcile it with the evidence on anti-colonial nationalism. I object this because I do not find it suitable to our anti-colonial resistance. The nationalism which came in India or other such countries, India, Sri Lanka, or whatever other countries, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, all other countries, these countries were ruled by European powers. So this nationalism in all these countries came because of anti-colonial resistance. Therefore, Anderson's ideas do not match with this particular evidence. So he gives an example. The most powerful as well as the most creative results of the nationalist imagination in Asia and Africa are posited not on an identity but rather on difference with the modular forms of the national society propagated by the modern West. Means many ideas nationalist the idea of nation. For example, you come across the patriotic songs, मेरे देश की धरती सोना उगले उगले हीरे मोती, और है प्रीत जहाँ की रीत सदा मैं गीत वहाँ के गाता हूँ, इतनी ममता की नदियों को भी माता कह के बुलाया जाता है. So all these means I'm giving an example. So this is imagination. Our idea of nationhood in India, many Asian countries have their different ideas. Many African countries have their own ideas of nationalism. It is not simply a matter of identity, but our ideology, our perception of nation are different from the European society. The idea of nationalism put forth by the modern West. So, how can we ignore this without reducing the experience of anti colonial nationalism to a caricature of itself? So, how can we ignore this? We cannot ignore this unless we reduce, unless we think that our national anti colonial movement was a kind of caricature, a dead body itself. Means it does not have any existence unless we deny the existence of our anti colonial nationalism. Means the anti-colonial nationalism in Asia and Africa is different from the nationalist society or national society nationalism propagated by the Western modern West. Therefore, he objects. It is not on the ground of sentiments. भावनेच्या भरात मी बोलत नाही असं तो म्हणत आहे ते म्हणतात सॉरी he says I do not have an evidence means my perception of nationalism in India or other such countries, Asian countries, African countries, do not go in line with the European idea of nationalism. So what he says, to be fair to Anderson, it must be said that he is not alone to blame. Of course, Anderson is not the only person who thinks in this manner. There are many other such people. The difficulty I am now convinced arises because we have all taken the claims of nationalism to be a political movement. So, why do we think that way? The difficulty is that we think that nationalism is a political movement. We take it literally, too much literally, and too seriously. Nationalism is not a political movement as such. Then he gives an example of India. India, for instance, any standard in India, any standard nationalist history will tell us that nationalism proper began in 1885 with the formation of the Indian National Congress. Of course, the Congress that we talk about today is the offshoot of that only, but it is different from the Indian National Congress that we are talking about before the independence. Okay, actually, Mahatma Gandhi had recommended the dissolution of National Congress after the independence, but many people, Nehru family, Gandhi family, took advantage of it and they continued with that and they started claiming that we are the only owners of this nation. Nobody else can become the prime minister. Nobody else can take control, rule over India. That is their thinking. Okay, maybe there are many supporters of Congress. I'm sorry for that, but this is what we understand from their ideology. You must, if you go through that. I'm not one who supports this or that party. I'm talking about the factual picture. So it might also tell us that the decade preceding this was a period of preparation. So nationalism starts with the formation of the Indian National Congress. And we have to understand that there was the decade preceding. Decade means the period of 10 years or so. Before that, there was a preparation. Means before National Congress started talking about nationalism, there were many other incidents. There were several provincial political associations. Okay, and we need to understand that when we talk about 1885, we have to understand Tilak era. Before that, the Dada Bhai Nauroji was there. Tilak was there. In the year 1920, it was Mahatma Gandhi after his return to from South Africa. took control of Congress. He became the president of Congress. But prior to that, we have to understand the Indian National Congress was there. Okay, and even Gandhi and his what we call his leadership is different from the Gandhi's way that we talk about today. We have to understand that as well. So several provincial political associations project is completely missed in a conventional histories. That's what underline this. Before the national Indian National Congress came into being, or it started talking about nationalism, there are many provincial histories. Provincial means the histories of different provinces. For example, you must have seen certain stories, certain, for example, we talk about Jhansi, we talk about the fight from Andhra Pradesh, the fight from Odisha. So these were the provincial powers. They started fighting against these Britishers. But these histories are not taken seriously. That is the problem. So in the next part, he highlights all these areas. We shall talk about them in the next lecture.